Ya Asubui, Habari Ya Mchana, Yabari Ya Gioni. Wow, it's been 3 years since I've been doing this YouTube channel, and I still can't get that intro right. Well, today, family, Team Africa Worldwide, we're going to go into our Kiswahili sentence for the week. Okay, this is a good sentence to know. A few related sentences. The main sentence we're going to talk about the question, do you understand Swahili? Um, so, how this question will be asked is Wewe unafahamu Kiswahili. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to say Wewe first, which means you, but it places emphasis that you are about to address the person. It's considered polite when you are first initiating the conversation to say Wewe. You could just start with the sound oo. But just like in English, not always, but a lot of times in English, we ask a question by making a statement and just raising the intonation at the end. Like instead of saying, do you understand Swahili? We might say, you understand Swahili? Well, that's how all sentences are formed in Kiswahili. You say the statement and you just raise the intonation at the end so that the person understands that you're asking a question. So, like I said, we start Wewe, which means you, and then U, which also means you. Una means you are in the current state of doing. Fahamu means understand. And of course, the proper name of the language of the coast is not Swahili, but Kiswahili. So once again, when you ask someone, do they understand Swahili? You will say, Wewe, unafahamu Kiswahili? Wewe, unafahamu Kiswahili? Okay, and a good answer to that will be either yes, which is indio. Some people say indio, depending on where you are. I know in Kenya, they don't use the extra Y. It's just spelled Ndio. But I've also seen it spelled Ndio, Indio. So you say, but either way, people will understand what you're saying. Indio means yes. Hapana, Hapana, hapana means no. Okay, so you can say yes or you can say no. So let's start with the easier one. If you ask someone if they spoke Kiswahili, or someone will ask you, and the answer is in the negative, the response would be Hapana, sifahamu Kiswahili. As I've said in the past, C, most of the times, SI, as a prefix to a word, is the negative, which means no or do not or not. So if you said hapana, which means no, sifahamu means I do not understand Kiswahili, Swahili. So the answer to do you understand Swahili? Wewe unafahamu Kiswahili would be hapana sifahamu Kiswahili. So what if the answer is yes? And we hope the answer is yes. If someone's asking you, of course you can say yes because you watch my videos. And if you were asking someone else and they were to say yes, they would start off saying, Indio, Nina Fahamu Kiswahili. Now, Nina, when you start ni, is a prefix stating first person. So that means I, ni, na. And na, when you say ni na, means I am. So it's present tense. Nina Fahamu. So it would be, and you can place emphasis by saying Mimi to start the sentence, which means I. So you could say Mimi Nina Fahamu Kiswahili. And you could say Indio, which means yes. Indio Mimi Nina Fahamu Kiswahili. Now, I am not fluent as of yet. And so I think for a long time, instead of just saying that I understand Kiswahili, I will say that I understand a little Kiswahili. And we know with Kiswahili, we place the object before the adjective or the descriptive word. And so instead of saying I understand a little Swahili, we will say that I understand Swahili a little. So, Indio, yes. Mimi, I. Nina Fahamu, I understand. Kiswahili, Swahili. Kidogo, a little. So, the conversation will kind of go like this. Wewe unafahamu Kiswahili? Indio. Mimi ninafahamu Kiswahili kidogo. And so the same thing goes for English. The word for English, some people will say Kizungu. That's more of informal because Europeans are called Mzungus. So sometimes people will say Kizungu for the English language. But the more proper way is to say Kiingereza. 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 So if you wanted to ask somebody if they spoke English, which hopefully you won't go to East Africa and do that, but somebody might say it to you. And so they will say, Wewe unafahamu Kiingereza. And you would answer, Ndio. Ndio. Mimi ninafahamu Kiingereza. Or you might say, of course. And people say, of course, by saying kweli, which kweli in direct translation means truly or true. And so you may say that, of course, you speak Kiingereza because you are an African American. American is Marakani. The always indicates a type of human being. And Marakani is the name of the nationality. So it's Marakani. And since we are African Americans, we would say Marakani Mwa Africa. So if someone was to say to you, Wewe unafahamu Kiingereza, you can answer, Kwele ninafahamu Kiingereza. Mimi ni Marakani Mwa Africa. And that is the Kiswahili sentence of the week. So when someone asks you if you understand Kiswahili, you can say, yes, you understand a little Kiswahili. Wewe unafahamu Kiswahili? Ndio, mimi ninafahamu Kiswahili kidogo. Okay, that is the lesson for the week. But I just wanted to add on a little bit as far as current events. There are a lot of people jumping up and down about the U.S. minority speaker, Senator Mitch McConnell, basically stating that there was no big concern of the Voters' Right Act being reenacted, voted in, because there's no difference in how we vote and the rest of the country votes, which isn't a good explanation because just because we vote at the same rates, that doesn't mean that you don't need to vote for the continuation of the Rights Act because it's because of the Voters' Right Act that people are able to exercise their vote because the whole reason why that act was voted in was because states were and counties were coming up with a bunch of stupid arbitrary rules to prevent people from voting. So if they don't vote that in, then states and counties can go back to doing that again, like they did in the Jim Crow South in the 60s. But that's a little bit of a political lesson, but that's not really what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is the statement that he made that infuriated some people, some black people, as we would say. And Yahoo, they printed a false article. Actually, they said that the senator said black people vote at the same rates as Americans, but that's actually a misquote. That's not what he said. He said African Americans vote at the same rate as Americans. And you know what, family? I have absolutely no problem with what he said. I have no problem with myself as an African American being distinguished from other Americans. We are not the same. We have never been the same. We are never going to be the same. And I appreciate the fact that he said African American rather than Black American. I will, kind of put the brakes on saying that I'm not Black. I know that we as a people, we aren't ready for that transition yet. So I will continue to use Black and African interchangeably. However, whenever we are speaking formally, and especially when other non-African people speak of us, they should always say African. That's just a matter of respect to me. But to get back on the topic, I want to explain that you have a lot of us that's always talking about reparations this, reparations that, cut the check. And we really don't understand how reparations works. Native Americans get reparations, Japanese have gotten reparations, and Israel's gotten reparations. But the reason why they got reparations is because they're seen as a other. You can't be the same and then be due reparations. You're due reparations because you were done wrong as a other, and being the other, you need to repair that wrong. And this is what's been holding us back as a people. We always want to be included. We want inclusion. And this has held us back. African Americans used to own a lot of businesses. I can remember even up to the early 1980s, most Black neighborhoods in the city of Detroit, where I was from, had hundreds of Black stores. But due to integration, Black people don't own much of anything in the United States. As Dr. Claude Anderson would say, the only thing we produce is sweat. And I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny. The only thing that African Americans produce is sweat. you know. And so, and that's because we don't really understand. We want to be separate, then we want to be apart. Well, being a part of the overall American society gobbles you up, and then you can't really cry foul and say, well, this, me as this group within the group is not getting what's due to me because you're promoting this whole colorblind fallacy. And so people will say, well, why even bring that up? Because we're all Americans. See how that works? So you can't even point out the discrepancy in the advantages, the disadvantages, the privileges, and discrimination if everybody is the same. So we have to use logic, people, if we want to better ourselves and better the community. The only way you can point out the differences in education, the differences in incarceration, the differences in police treatment, the differences in salaries, the differences in home loans, the differences in small business loans, the differences in uh, everything in America is to distinguish yourself. So, no, we are not Americans. We are African Americans. We are a group within the group that's distinguished from any other group, as Dr. Umar would say. We are not people of color and we are not minorities. When you fall for those type of titles, you're falling for a trap. Once you become, they use anything. Minorities supposed to mean a smaller group. They make white women minorities. How are they a smaller group? It makes no sense. They just play around with these words and you hear it and then you just jump on the bandwagon and start saying I'm a minority, I'm a person of color, uh, and all this other stuff. I'm a non-white, like the white are the standards. um, I'm a FBA, I'm a ADOS, anything new you hear. I'm a Native American, I'm a Hebrew. We don't understand that if you got this type of skin, your people came over here from Africa, either before the translated slave trade or during or after. Either way it goes, you're African. Um, the North America is one of the last pieces of land that was inhabited on the earth because this place was covered in ice way, way back when. So, no, your people did not grow out the ground like trees. And no, you can't say everybody is from Africa because the so called European um, supposedly voluntarily or was ran out of Africa thousands and thousands of years ago. Uh, we left Africa involuntarily just a few hundred years ago. There are people who are alive right now who are over 100 years old, meaning that the adults that lived during their lifetime lived during slavery. So that was just a little while ago. It wasn't a long time ago. And if you do a DNA test, we are related biologically to people who currently inhabit the continent of Africa right now. So, no, all people aren't Africans. We are the Africans. We're the African Americans. And Mitch McConnell saying that African Americans vote at the same rate of Americans is accurate and not disrespectful. Now, him using that as an excuse for not thinking that renewing the Voters' Right Act is urgent is not correct. But the fact that he distinguished African Americans from Americans, I absolutely have no problem with that. And any African American who does have a problem with that, you're not thinking clearly. Well, with that being said, uh, I'm gonna let you all go. Santi Sana for watching. Kwaheri Kwasasa.